Hi everybody, I'm Mark Pensestaller from ZenithOwner.com, back in the hangar today with a project update. If you guys have been following my online builder's log, you're probably familiar with the current status of the airplane. If you're not, this little update will bring you up to speed. On the front of the airplane, I have the Viking nose gear spring, which I really like. Never have to change a bungee cord. Coming inside here, this is the parking brake valve and the mount I designed for it. You can see the push-pull cable comes up to the center console and is mounted right there, right on top of the and-air fuel selector valve. The front half of the cockpit is primed and painted. You'll notice I have these black anti-skid sticky back tape kind of things on there. They're really nice. They're rubberized, so they're not that real tough, gritty type of anti-skid you might find on concrete stairs. This is my plan for the panel. These are two 10-inch Dynon HDX screens with the radio and intercom in the middle. Of course, these ones are just paper templates I cut out for sizing. I have the throttle mounted and I positioned the trim switch above and the flap switch to the right so I can reach all those with my hand on the throttle. On the center fuselage, I'm using nut plates with flush mounted rivets because I want this top piece to be removable for future inspections. All the steel parts, the brake pedals and the control stick and the frame are powder coated. The back half of the fuselage has a light coat of primer. It will get primed again after the other fuselage pieces are riveted in, and then it'll be painted the same gray as the front. I did cut out two inspection windows in these panels. There will be a clear Lexan window there that will be screwed in after it's painted, and that'll be for inspection purposes or pre-flight inspections. I can look and see that all is well with the aileron bell cranks. Here's the flat motor. It still needs wired up yet. I still have to run the brake cables down through the bottom of the fuselage and out. This wheel pant is just sitting on top of the wheel because it looks cool. On the top of the fuselage, I have the comm antenna, and this is the ELT antenna. The ELT antenna used to be a beacon. That's where I had my beacon mounted. When I mounted the beacon there, I didn't really consider that I'd have to have an ELT antenna somewhere. So the only place I can reach inside the fuselage is this spot. So that's where I'm now going to mount the ELT antenna. Now under the fuselage skin is a square stiffener plate that I had for the beacon. But the beacon has a much bigger hole than the ELT antenna, so I had to close up that hole somehow. I originally had a square plate like this that I put on top of the fuselage with the antenna mounted in there. But I didn't like the looks of that square plate. It just looked kind of dumb. So you can see I cut it into a nice sort of star pattern here, which gives it kind of maybe just a design element to it. So the beacon I'm either going to mount on the bottom of the fuselage or up on top of the rudder once that's done. This pulley I'll rivet in once the fuselage is primed and painted. Tip fairings are installed and they went on really nicely. The elevator trim tab is all done and complete, but I'll install that after paint. Again, I used nut plates and flush rivets for the access panels in the back of the airplane, so I can unscrew those and remove them for condition inspections without having to drill out rivets. Guess the only other thing I didn't show you was this hole right here with the grommet. That's where I'm going to have some electrical wire and the transponder antenna come through. It'll come up, go over to the center console, up to the front, behind the panel, and into the instruments. I do have a log page where I detailed how I mounted my ELT, but as you can see, it is just mounted behind the flat motor. Behind my ELT is a stiffener plate that I used for the transponder antenna. And finally, last thing I want to show you is on the interior of the airplane. I made a couple tabs along the bottom where the elevator trim electrical cable will go through. That extra hole there will be for the Elt antenna. It'll come down from the antenna and go through that grommet and then up to the front. As you can see, the whole inside is primed. Elevator cables are in there. I have these blue plastic tubes on the elevator cables to keep them from rubbing together. And looking up from the bottom of the airplane, this is the big access hatch on the bottom. Again, as you can see, I've used flush rivets for here. I don't like when people put nut plates in and use the domed rivets and then try to put a flat plate on top of that. That doesn't make any sense to me. So any kind of nut plate always has flush rivets, so everything fits nice and flush. And there's the bottom of the fuselage. Here's the gear. And I think the next step is probably to get the brake lines routed. My wings are mostly complete. This is the right wing where I haven't fit the wingtip yet. I have the left wing over here, and the wingtip is fit on there. I haven't riveted the front part until I install the nav and strobe light. On both wings, I still have to make the corner piece yet. However, I didn't like the fit of the pieces that come with the kit. So I do have some rolls of aluminum, and I'm going to make my own and see if I can get a nicer fit for these corner pieces. So that's it, guys. That's the current progress of the airplane. Like I said, next week I'm going to order the engine. I don't know how long it's going to take to get that, but once I get the engine installed, I'll order the Dynon panel, get that installed, then I can close up this piece here, and after that it's going to go to paint. I'll paint the interior once all those pieces are finished up, and well, maybe I'll mount the wings and get that fit before I paint, but it's getting close.